and I'm reading Squirrel Days.
That is so nice of you.
No. It's very funny, but what I want to know is, did you really, and because you said at the beginning that some of these anecdotes are not really true,
Right.
did you really knock over Doris Kearns Goodwin?
I did. That
You
part
did?
is true. I know there were some things where, do you know what? I got so worried that people from my life, I mean, it is not a salacious book, as you
Right.
know. But if I because not that so many salacious things have happened to me, but I suddenly got worried, like, what if someone thought, I never said that in elementary school, so that's why I did the disclaimer, like, maybe I exaggerated something. But no, that absolutely happened with Doris Kearns Goodwin. And I've met her once since then. I saw her actually when I was promoting my Squirrel Days, I saw her at like a book party, and she acted like she remembered me. I doubt she probably like blacked the whole thing out, so it's like PTSD. That's the woman who tackled me. But I really did do that.
You really did do that. Wow.
Yes.
I'd walk away from that too.
Wouldn't you?
Yes. And what about going for a water for Christopher Plummer? Did you actually do that too in fall?
Yes, that also happened. Now I have to say with that, oh my gosh, and I'm being brought back to that night. That was bad. But like when you have seen someone only in a movie and you've idolized this person, I guess I didn't idolize him, but I had a massive crush on him for so long. And then I'm getting him water. Like, how can you remain composed under those circumstances? So yeah. That also happened. Now I'm beginning to think, what did I exaggerate in that book? Probably only boring details.
Well, no, I mean, I'm still reading it, but it's very funny. And I don't know. No. So do you think writing is something you're going to do more of? Maybe not books, but shows and stuff like that?
I don't necessarily know about shows, but I've been actually thinking, because I have no idea, as the rest of the world has no idea, how long this lockdown and quarantine and just pandemic is going to last. I thought, well, it might be nice to focus on something you can do solo, such as writing. So I would like to write more, possibly another book. It was very painful to write a book, but now it's like childbirth. I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad, so maybe I'll go back to it. But I don't think I want to write a show. My sister Carrie is a television writer, and she's got that covered. I don't know that I have the discipline to write for a television show. I'm not, So, but books and stories, I think I might want to write more of. We'll see.
So tell me what this quarantine has been like for you in St. Louis. What is like your day like?
Every day is the same. Every day is the same. It's so I have two boys, an 8-month-old and a 3-year-old, and we have been maintaining I have been inflicting this on everyone, the most rigid schedule. A, to maintain some sense of normalcy, but B, just because I think with young kids, you have to have, I'm in this school of thought where you have to, the stricter the schedule, the better for everyone. So every day is pretty much the same. Naps, diaper changes, meals, laundry, cleaning, and then go to bed exhausted. But it's kind of been, I want to be careful as I say this, but I think one great silver lining for a lot of people is this time they've been getting to spend with their families, because we're lucky enough to be safe and healthy, thank goodness. And this unexpected over quality time with the family has been weirdly kind of, this huge blessing in the midst of all the horrible stuff going on. So, but yeah, every day is sort of the same, and definitely you have to remind yourself what day it is.
Yeah. So are you Zooming with old St. Louis friends? I guess you can't really see them.
I've been I know, and I'm definitely on the more I say careful, other people say paranoid spectrum of things, where I'm all masked out. I'm standing so far away from everyone. So I've seen a couple friends from about 20 feet away. I see my parents from 20 feet away. But yeah, there have been a lot of Zooms cropping up in all our lives, I guess. And I need to take I don't know, I'm a little zoomed out. But no, I've been every human being I've seen is like at such a far distance. But I'm not afraid. If I'm known as the paranoid one, that's okay.
Your parents must be, because I know this is true for me, must be so difficult not to be able to hold their grandchildren.
Right? You have how many grandchildren?
I have 2 in town too, so it's really nice.
That's so rough, and you don't look old enough to have grandchildren. But anyway,
well, that's nice of you.
Well, it's true. But it is painful and it's awful. And how old are your grandkids?
5 and 1 year. So.
Oh no! So they're just so scrumptious.
Yeah, well, we've gone over there and maintained our distance, so we could at least get to see them. But it's really rough not to hug.
No, it's awful. And I keep thinking, when does this end? Because that is such a short time that they're that age,
right.
And so it's
right.
It is really sad. On the other hand, I feel lucky that they get to see my grandparents in person at all, because otherwise, we wouldn't be in the same city. But no, it's
sure.
all very bizarre. And I'm also lucky because my kids aren't at the age where school has really been disrupted. So I feel so bad for all these poor kids out there.
Yeah.
Saying graduations and all.
Are you binge watching anything?
Ode to St. Louis. We just finished binging again, Mad Men. I love Mad Men.
Again, so you brought it back around.
Oh, brought it back around.
With your former teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ode to John Hamm. It's a great show, and it's great for binging because you could just gaze at the hairdos and scenery alone. But I watched it when James, my older son, was born. We binge watched it then during some sleepless nights, and then now we're back again. So, but that's really that's the main show that we binged. I'm too I fall asleep after 20 minutes of everything at night. So
really?
I'm not so good on the binging right now.
Have you seen Ozark?
I saw the first season, and for some reason, we have to get back on track. Ozark is such a dark show. It is really.
Here's what I do. You watch one episode of Ozark, and then you watch one episode of Kimmy Schmidt, so you can be lifted up again. That's how it has to work, because it is really dark, and it stresses you out while you're watching, but it's really good.
It's really good, and also this sounds crazy, I know, but when I was watching it in New York, the first season, I felt nostalgia. I was like, oh, it's the Ozarks. Even though it's this horribly depressing and dark show, I still felt some sense of like, it's my home, not my hometown, but my home state.
Right.
But it's wonderfully done.
It's really well. How about food? Are you getting takeout or carry out from some of your favorite St. Louis spots?
Paranoid. We have done takeout a few times, but the wiping down with the Clorox bleachers, I'm like, this is not. No, we should be maybe doing more takeout because we want to support local restaurants. Everyone wants to do that. Nobody wants to see them go away. But so we've done takeout a few times, but I think now as things are opening up more, maybe we'll venture out a bit. But no. Everyone has been subjected to my cooking, which I don't know if you can call it cooking. It's just me microwaving various items. It's so bad. Have you been doing takeout?
We try. I love to cook, and my wife cooks all the time. But I on my days off, which are Friday and Saturday, I cook on Friday, and then we usually do a restaurant on Saturday just to support the local restaurants. So, is there some comfort in being here in St. Louis for you?
100%. Not only do I have my family here, my older brother John lives here, my parents are here, I have friends here, but also it feels, that first and foremost, you put your kids first. So I feel safer here knowing that there are good, there's wonderful medical care. So if that should come, that is first and foremost on my mind all the time. So I worried about New York becoming overrun with, patients. And so it feels safer here. People are more spread out. And also, yes, of course I grew up here. So there's always that sense of comfort, I think, in the place where you grew up. But
right.
I think, everyone on the front line here in St. Louis and everyone working in harm's way is doing such a fantastic job. And it's, I can't imagine the work that they're doing. And as I said, I feel so lucky that we get to be here at all and that everyone is healthy, but there's definitely a comfort here.
As a teenager at Burroughs, would you have any idea that if you type in the word Ellie in Google, the first name that comes up is Ellie Kemper? Yes, I'm telling you, I did it just yesterday.
All right. Are you
Ellie.
sure?
I'm telling you, it was Ellie Kemper was the first number one. I just want to know when you're going to what were your dreams and have you surpassed them, or give me an idea of what was that young girl Ellie Kemper like?
Well, first, I have to tell you that Ellie is not such a common name. So there are only so many Ellies to begin with. So thank my mom for naming me Ellie so that maybe there are fewer Ellies to contend with. But I think this is, I'm always envious of young people who know exactly what it is that they want to do at a young age, because then you can go after it and attack it. And I felt like I never thought too far ahead into the future, for better or for worse. And so I always enjoyed acting. I also enjoyed sports. I never, for me, it didn't really click that I wanted to pursue acting and performing until I got to college and joined my improvisation comedy group there, which sounds cheesy, but that's when it really clicked for me, that I thought, oh, I enjoy improvising. I'm good at it and I want to get better at it. So I think that's, and then I saw that, in fact, you can pursue that route and you can do that professionally, which I think I wasn't really aware of. So it really clicked for me in college. But I think growing up, just forming these fantastic friendships. I went to John Burroughs, which is just a phenomenal school. And I think that the experiences that I had there, absolutely shaped, this sounds really obvious, but shaped who I became. So, I mean, who did I become? Some woman who's living in a friend's house rent-free. But anyway, but I do think that, all of my teachers at Burroughs and everyone, Mr. Wayne Solomon, who was the theater director when I was there, and of course, John Hamm, I think that all of my teachers at Burroughs really shaped my interests and the paths that I wanted to pursue. So, but it was never crystal clear to me, in like 5th grade, oh, I want to become an actor or I want to do comedy. My husband is a comedy writer, and that was for him at a young age.
But if your sister also went into the business as a writer, there must have been something going on there in your house.
Isn't that strange? Well, my family is very funny. I have 3 siblings: my younger sister Carrie, older brother John, and younger brother Billy. And they're just funny. They're like very funny. So I mean, I guess you always think that your sense of humor is funny. That's why it's your sense of humor. But I know it's very interesting because St. Louis isn't necessarily like the hotbed for, going into television comedy. Like that's not necessarily, I think it's surprising that 2 members of our family did pursue that. And Carrie was always doing that, like everyone else in the country, we were always putting on plays in our basement and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know what that is. My parents are really funny people. So I think that, can't help but influence your household.
Yeah. I guess the big break was The Office. Can you, there's a resurgence of The Office because, it ends up on Netflix and more people I think see it today than saw it when it was running on NBC. And I wonder how that's translated for you. Do you get more people coming up to you these days about that experience?
Yes, for sure. And no, I don't think anyone could have foreseen the second life on Netflix. And people, I'm so old. People who, I did just turn 40. Let's just say it. But
you're so old.
But I am. But I'm embracing it. But I think that children who probably weren't, they were like 2 years old when The Office was on the first run. Now, yeah, they'll come up to me and say, "Oh, are you Erin from The Office?" And it's like, I don't know how old they are now, but it's really interesting and really, I think, uplifting to know that this show appeals to people of so many different ages. I think that young kids connect to it because it's basically a classroom. It's a workplace, but those dynamics and working in the same place all day is infinitely relatable. So, but I think that this resurgence is very cool. It's I'm glad that it's still reaching so many people. And I watched The Office before being cast on it. My whole family did, and I was it always seemed comforting in a way. It was a weird show. Yeah,
and really a groundbreaker for its time. But I think what's made us appreciate it more is, when you watch it once a week, I don't think you have it. It was great, but when you get to binge watch it and you realize how great the characters were, how great the writing was, yep. You really get to appreciate the show. And I wonder if while you were on it, you were able to appreciate it in that way.
Yes, because it's a great question. It was my big break, obviously, but also I think there always was this sense of this is an exceptional show. It is groundbreaking. It's not doing something that had really ever been done in the US before, using this documentary style. And the writing was so different from anything I had seen, and the awkward moments and the cringeworthy moments and the cast, which was crazily talented. I feel so lucky that I did appreciate in the moment, like, this is very rare. This doesn't, of course it is. It doesn't happen very often in someone's life or on television, really. But I think it's a testament. It's certainly a testament to the creators and writers that it has stood the test of time. I know it's not as old as I am, but it's still that it's enjoying this renaissance I think speaks to the heart.
And St. Louis was well represented on that show too.
What was in the water?
I don't know.
Phyllis,
right?
From St. Louis, Jenna Fisher,
right.
Who?
You?
Me. A lot, and several members of the crew were from here. Rusty Mahmood. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and then of course Kimmy Schmidt, and you just did. I'm trying to understand this next episode where you got to kiss Harry Potter. What is the deal there?
It's a fine question. What is the deal there? When I read that in the script, I thought, you are kidding me, creators. First of all, now I'm not going to harp on me being old, but I feel like there's an age difference there, which is fine. But yeah, I was pregnant at the time. I just felt like poor Daniel Radcliffe, not poor Daniel Radcliffe, I'm not hideous, but I did feel like he has to kiss this pregnant woman. I'm like, my belly is protruding a bit. Like, it feels unnatural to kiss someone who's not your partner when you're pregnant. It just does.
Yes.
But
I'm sure.
It is, first of all, he is so lovely. I can't imagine what life is like for him, every single person on the planet recognizing him. And he is just the most gracious, classy man. He was a joy to work with and to make out with. But yeah, it's cool. It's like a choose your own adventure.
But the series was over, and then they brought it back for like one episode, or is there going to be more?
I hope there will be more. This was it's a standalone, by the way. If you've never seen it, you can still watch it and understand exactly what's going on. John Hamm figures prominently, if that's any lore. But it's sort of the series ended, and yeah, I had heard sort of right away that they were thinking of doing one final, I don't know what to call it. It's not even a wrap up, but just an additional episode. And it's longer than a regular episode, but I hope that they do more, because these characters are so much fun.
So you've been in movies. You're I think the thing you were working on in Montreal, wasn't that Home Alone?
Yeah.
Part of that franchise.
Yep.
So you worked in movies. You've done TV. Are there things that you really want to do? Or are you still like you were in 5th grade and whatever happens, happens?
Unfortunately, I haven't changed. Plus ça change. I haven't changed that much. I am sort of thinking, not whatever happens, happens, but I certainly don't have a plan, which I don't know what to make of that. But that's sort of a lie. I mean, I do think, everything changes, as you know, once you have kids. So I think there's a huge, for me and for my husband, Michael, I think there's a greater emphasis on regularity and schedule. I think that, it's hard you can't pick up your kids and move all of the time. So I think that some job that would provide me a little bit more regularity, I think would be good in terms of schedule. So yeah, I'm not sure what is next. I also, when is everything going to go back to?
Yeah.
Well, never back to normal, but to a new sort of normal. I don't know.
And I guess if you're filming a movie, and what were you, about halfway through it?
Yeah, halfway through.
You don't have any idea, whatever the release date was, nobody knows now, right?
No, I have and it seems like a nightmare to have to quarantine. I mean, if you were to try to finish it and you have your cast and your crew and one person like an insurance nightmare, a liability nightmare. I have no idea what will happen, but I do hope that they finish it, because it is really, I think it was coming along very well.
Yeah. So can I just ask you what, as a girl who's from St. Louis, and St. Louis is kind of in your heart, what has this place meant to you?
Oh my gosh. I want to move back here to raise my children here. I think that it formed again, not that anyone wants to imitate my core, but it formed the core of who I am. It is, I think the people are so friendly. And I think I didn't understand that until I moved away, that there really is, and I think anyone who goes away for a bit and comes back really comes to appreciate that there is a kindness factor in the Midwest that I don't know if you see other places. And so I think that experience is, I feel so grateful to have grown up around kind people. And there's a sense of, I think I got to explore. I feel like there was not to look back with, rosy glasses, but I do think that there was an innocence kind of to growing up here, where it felt like life didn't move too quickly, that there was time to breathe, there was no overscheduling, and I felt just that there was time to be a child and explore growing up here. And I think the biggest thing though is the people who I just, when I come back, I feel like I know everyone, even though I obviously don't, but there's just a sense of familiarity that I'm not sure you find in other parts of the country or in other cities. So it absolutely, and that's why I'm so happy that my parents are still here, because I can always bring my kids back here. Hopefully not again during a quarantine period.
Yeah.
But, to get to know.
Hopefully when this is all over, one day we'll get to actually sit down and talk in person.
That would be wonderful.
We would, we just think the world of you. And we're so proud that you're from St. Louis. You represent us so well, and I mean, you're just the best. So
I have to say, and you know this, right back at you. And I remember at the Emmys like years ago, I think I told you this. So this is a huge compliment to my older brother. You and he have always borne a striking resemblance. You're welcome, John. But so we've always, my family grew. I mean, you're not. I don't want to say we grew up, but we did grow up watching you, but not that you were just on our television.
I'm old.
All the time. You're not. Let's just say I'm young, so it was just such a short period ago, but we grew up watching you. You bring such a comfort to our household, so it's right back to you. Thank you for everything that you do. I don't want you to think that I've been sitting here in a blue t-shirt. It's a St. Louis Blues.
All right, yay.
As I was shaping the laptop, I thought, I can't get, if I'm too far back, then you won't see my face.
Yeah.
But I did not just wear a t-shirt. It's St. Louis.
So now that you live in New York, you're not like a Yankees or a Mets fan. That's not going to change.
St. Louis is my core.
Yes, it's your core. Ellie, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. Stay safe. Stay safe.
You too. And I only apologize that it took a minute. I was so overwhelmed with childcare at the beginning. Now we've sorted it out. But
it's no problem. Thank you very much for taking the time, and hopefully we'll see you down the line.
Well, thank you for being such a gift to our city, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Ellie. Bye-bye.
Thank you.